Lifeboat Live, we have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. As always, on the other side of the glass, my partner and brother, Mark Wages. And it is a Monday. It doesn't exactly feel like a Monday. This schedule makes things feel a little different. But yeah, so I'm glad everybody's here tonight. This is this is going to be one of those shows. I think that I think that there are times in people's lives, and there are times in the life of anything. Whether it be a person, a business, a channel, a family, there are defining moments, and I believe that this is one, and I hope that it's one for our friend. I can tell you that I'm not here tonight to rehash last night. For the purpose of beating on our friend Jason. I have no desire to do that whatsoever, and I don't think that it benefits anybody in any way. In fact, I think it's bad form. That being said, that's the kind of action that can't get a pass either, and it's something that has to be discussed. And a lot of you have already reached out to me. I mean, a lot of you. And the vast majority of you have come down on the side of, of really being the class group of people that you are. I would say that the vast majority of crew on the lifeboat have already forgiven Jason for what happened last night. That being said, this needs to be discussed, and I'm going to do it as hopefully as classy as I can. But there's no way to just go on without talking about this, because this is a big thing. Before I do, prayers, please, for Leisure. Leisure's back in the hospital, and he needs our prayers right now. Really, that's an important thing. Also, our fellow crew member and my close friend Bubba lost his dad last night. And it's been a long battle for his father, but last night was the end of that battle, and he's struggling. Even if someone is going through something you've already gone through, exactly, you don't know what they're going through, right? It's different with every person. He was very close with his father. He sent me a beautiful picture of when he was younger and considerably smaller, because Bubba's a really big guy. But he sent me a picture of he and his dad together, and it was beautiful. My emails don't get responded to. I don't have one email from you, bud. I'll be happy to send you a screenshot of my entire list. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. But please, um, reach out to me either on Messenger or anything else, and let's try to figure out what's going on with your emails, because I really take pride in the fact that I answer them all. I really do. Sometimes it takes a minute, but if they're not being answered, then I'm not getting them, because I don't let things fall through the crack. I assure you. That was cemetery. That was cemetery. Um, Tommy Bird says, I want to say one thing off the bat that I've learned more than anything. Forgiveness is very much for yourself, so much more than the person being forgiven. It's an important life lesson. I agree with you 100%. Here's why this needs to be discussed. Bubba's father's dead. It's a very difficult thing. And I'm going to be asking for prayers from everybody here on the lifeboat, and positive thoughts, and all of the things that go along with that. Leisure's in the hospital and he's going through it, and I'm going to be asking for thoughts and prayers for our brother, and he's somebody that means a lot to the boat. And when something happens like what happened last night, it causes cynicism among a group of people, and that is my biggest fear. On the same end of this, I had a email last night from somebody, and I have emailed this person and said, "Can I please use your name on the lifeboat?" I have not. I haven't gotten a response back, but I'm going to tell you the email because I'm not going to tell you who it is, so it doesn't matter. But I got an email that said, "Day 47 of sobriety," which is pretty impressive stuff. And that's the tough part, right? That's the tough time. And the email ended with, "But I'm going to have one tonight for Jason." The people on the lifeboat, myself included, are not rock solid in life. The reason there is a lifeboat is because we all struggle with one of the most difficult things in life to get through. Anything that makes that struggle more difficult for the people on this boat is a problem. Now, by way of full disclosure, people, we did a show on Munchausen's, right? I spent 15 minutes talking about this. Last night, when we got that message, you couldn't hear my bobbleheaded partner in my earpiece. I could. If you go back and watch that video, I said, "Please, everybody, if you could just hold 1 second." And I was texting back and forth with Mark, and both of us were, I mean, how do you deal with this? You cannot think, okay, this isn't real. We had reason to believe that it wasn't going to be real. Some of the things that had happened before had turned out to not be real. They didn't pan out. And so when this came up, it was reminiscent of other things that have happened with the same individual. And but what are you going to say? Yeah, I don't believe it, and keep rolling. You have to treat things like that as if they are an absolute fact until you find out whether or not they are an absolute fact. So we did that. I'm not looking for a pat on the back, people. I assure you that's not what we're talking about. But it is a difficult thing, to go through a show when something like that happens 30 seconds into it. And there were a host of brand new people on the lifeboat last night. It was probably the largest audience of new people on the boat that we've had in a year. I'm not exaggerating, right? There were probably a half a dozen to a dozen people on the boat last night that have never been here before, who are going, "What the hell just happened there?" And one of the things, yeah, my brother says, my heart is broken for 40 days of sobriety lost. Me too. Me too. Because that really is absolutely painful. The other thing is, we go out of our way to say we're not just as good as other people. In many ways, we're better. This is a blow to that. Okay, that's all I'm going to say in terms of beating on this man, because a couple of people have reached out and said, "I don't think this guy should be, should be on the boat." Skip, sorry, but I'm not in a place to give Jason a pass. I gave that man hours after hours. I understand. And I'll tell you something, there's nothing wrong with what you just said. And no one is going to judge you here for what you just said.
Every emotion that all of you are feeling is legit. It is. Anger is legit. Do you know the first thing I said to my bobbleheaded partner when I found out he was alive? I'm going to kill him. Those were the first words out of my mouth. I mean, that is about as illogical as anything you could possibly think, right? Thank God he's alive. I'm going to kill him. And my first thought went to revenge. I thought, you know what? Let's call him up live. Let's do all of these things. But, you know, the people who reached out and said things like, this guy needs to be kicked off the boat. It's legit. I completely understand where you're coming from. There's nothing wrong with that thought process. It's legit. A lot of people here have put a lot of time and effort into every single person on the boat, Jason included. And when you love and care for someone that you've never seen, you know, when you pour yourself out into somebody's sobriety and into somebody's life, and something like this happens, it's devastating. That being said, I left a message on the lifeboat page over on Facebook, and not everybody here sees that. So what I said was, I think that the answer is in the question. Who in their right mind would do that to a group of people that they know care about them? And the answer is no one in their right mind would do something like that. Now, this isn't a religious channel. I'm not going to, beat my religion into anybody, but I'm going to use a phrase that comes from my religion, right? I'm not going to be the one to toss the first rock, right? Because some of the things that I've done in my life would make this look maybe not quite so screwed up. I've done some pretty sick things in my life, and I did them all under the influence. Make no mistake, I think you would be ignorant to not realize that our friend is listening and watching right now. There's not a chance on God's green earth that he's not listening and reading every single comment that you all say. So this is one of those instant karma moments. He is definitely paying for what he did. The question becomes, why would you do something like that? And for those who say, I think this guy needs to be kicked off the boat, think for a second, because to me, it feels like saying, this guy's got cancer, kick him out of the oncology ward, right? This man is sick, get him out of this hospital. Whether or not he can come back and face the crew is completely up to him. But I don't think that you kick somebody off of a sobriety channel because they did something while wasted. Make no mistake, Jason was not sober last night. This is not something that he did sober. And I don't mean that because you're under the influence, you get a pass. If he got a pass, I would have started the show with, hey, how's everybody doing? Jason's okay, let's move on. That's not what we're doing. But I'm not throwing the first rock. And I think if we all take a look at ourselves, we've probably all done some things that defy any kind of logic. I talked the other night about a brief second of thinking, I should just steal this, right? 7 years later, 7 years out of prison. 3 years out of prison and 7 years off dope. I still had that thought, right? So our brains don't always work the way that they're supposed to, and they may never work exactly the way they're supposed to. The difference was I wasn't high. And because I was sober, the second thought was, what in God's name are you thinking? Right? Goodness, I'll call Noah and have him run up my credit card. What's going on in your head that you can even think that? Well, if I had had a 6-pack, or a 12-pack, or I had done a shot of dope, I might not have had the impulse control to not do exactly what my first thought was. And that may be the case here. I don't know. And maybe someday we will. Maybe someday he'll come on here and he'll tell us. Maybe he won't. But what sets this group of people apart from every other group of people I have ever met is the compassion and the love and the unending optimism in the belief that somebody can be better than they are right now. And you people extend that to people that you've known 3 minutes. I got emails that said, I don't believe one thing this guy has said. I don't believe that the letter he wrote about his daughter. You know what, people? We could play that game, right? How about if we just do it this way? Okay. All right. So let's go with all of it was BS. We can go with that. It doesn't change the fact that this is somebody who's struggling really seriously with an addiction that is causing him to do things that are really messed up. And that's kind of what we're about, right? I mean, our goal from day one has been to never turn our back on someone who is a drug addict. Oh, no doubt I'll say that he did it for the attention that it got him. If you want someone to throw the first stone, I'll do it. Fair enough. I think that, of course, he did it for the attention that it got him. But the logic then becomes it gets you attention, but you can never come back, right? Don't misunderstand. He came back because we sought him out to say, hey, guess what? We know what this is, right? And we turned loose basically a person who's very, very talented with a computer to find out an awful lot, and it left no room for debate. And you know what, Seventh, I'm not mad at you, man. I'm not. I get it, especially when we put the amount of time and effort into the people here that we do. And uh, let's say I didn't get to sleep at 10 o'clock last night. And let's say that this is not the first time that I have had some really bad night's sleep, but I cannot remember or calculate the hours I have stolen from people that I loved. I can't comprehend the damage that my lies have done over the course of my 3 decades of being a dirtbag. And my first thought, I promise you, my first thought was not compassion. My first thought was anger. But I'm doing the best I can to evolve as a human being. It's my goal at this point because the sobriety thing is over. And I'm rip roaring pissed that somebody had a beer for him, right? And God only knows how many drinks it really was, because I'm not gonna, you don't press someone who tells you they relapsed, right? Hey, so how many was it? Did you do anything else stupid?
Yes, lady. Let me answer Ladybug real quick. Yes, Ladybug, he's alive.
Yes.
We didn't even tell anybody. I guess we kind of assumed.
To anyone who got here late, to anyone who got here late, last night when Jason's wife came on and told us that Jason had died the previous day, it was Jason typing that. And at that exact moment, my bobbleheaded partner was in the earpiece going, we pretty much guarantee this guy's alive, because we know that things have happened that are similar to this. And we've been tracking it. And you know what? When we did the little segment we did on Munchausen's, the idea was to shock him into realizing that the boat's onto him. Now, those things don't always work, and it didn't work. And I remember saying to people, hey, you know what? I'm not talking to most of you, right? Well, obviously it didn't work. But again, what's going on in your life that you need this kind of attention, right? What's going on in your head? I will be brutally honest with you people. I was probably not the kindest cat in the entire world when he and I conversed today. And we didn't do it face to face. It was all done via text. But all of the things that you wish you could say, I did. I promise. I said all of those things. How can you do this to a group of people that love you the way they do, unconditionally? Right? Through all of the things that have already happened, no one has ever turned their back on you. And this is what you do to them. I went through all of that. I said, this is a group of people that have, on average, every 60 days lost a crew member since this boat started. How could you do this? I said all of those things. And when he said, none of these people are ever going to forgive me, I said, I don't think you know the boat. And I'll be really honest. I bet he wishes that they wouldn't. It would be a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Yep.
If everybody just called him a scumbag and walked away, I'm sure that would be much easier on that individual. I think what's killing him is he knows that 9 out of 10 people here aren't going to stop praying for him. 9 out of 10 people here probably are not going to turn your back on him. Miss V, I absolutely look, people. I'm not. If you think I'm the kindest person that ever lived, I don't think you know who I am, right?
I don't think any of us are.
Yeah, to say that that I was angry probably doesn't give it any justice. Miss V says, I don't mind if he comes back. I just hope he won't do it again. And my brother says, yeah, I might pray harder. I think that that's probably a good thing.
The only, for me, guys, the biggest issue for me was it affected other people on the boat. I can forgive everybody, and I have already. And to be just completely honest, when we finally set it in stone that that's actually what was happening, it was bittersweet. I was so glad that that didn't happen, but at the same time, I was upset because of what the situation was. And I wouldn't have it turn out any other way on that end of it, to be honest. I mean, that's just not what it's about. But guys, I mean, you don't know the struggles that me and Tommy were talking on, last night, trying to figure all this out. And yeah, it was just one of those things. And we accept that. We know we're going to deal with this from time to time. That's something we accept. And we've both grown in a way. And I know that if this had happened a year ago, this would have been a total different thing.
No question.
There'd have been videos and multiple videos probably of just ripping. I mean,
yep.
But I think we all realize now, and I know that I've grown and Tommy's grown to the point where we're not going to let that kind of bitterness eat us away, because now it's going to just eat at us. So we're forgiving. That's what the other part of that is. And like Tommy said, that's the saying in the Bible. What is it? Let he who has not sinned cast the first stone.
Right.
And that's such a great thing to go back on, because it does, just that short little thing that Jesus said in the Bible puts it all in perspective, because it immediately makes you think, yeah, you know what? I've done some pretty crappy things to people too, and I had to ask for forgiveness, and a lot of them gave it to me. Now, you don't have to forget. Okay?
No, you don't.
That's a different thing.
No, you absolutely don't. And seventh, first of all, my brother says something that I think is important. He said, Jason, nobody is disappointed that you're still with us. We're thankful that you're still alive. We're just a little confused. And Seventh Son says, the person I know, based on my experience of him, he won't be back. That very well could be the case, right? That very well could be the case. Let me tell you what I think is the perfect world, right? And this is something that I do a lot these days, and I never used to do it in the past. But I kind of think in every situation, what would be the perfect world, right? If in a perfect world, what happens? And in my opinion, in a perfect world, I'd like him on the show. And I don't mean back here. I would like to talk to him. Whether he wants to show his face or whether he just wants to have his voice, I would really like to talk to him. Because number one, if you think he's the only person that has done this since we started the lifeboat, then you're crazy. Right? I will tell you right now that unless it becomes a real issue, we're never calling somebody out on this. But Mark and I could tell you a dozen stories from people who have said things on this boat that we know for a stone cold fact didn't happen.
Right.
And it really is one of the symptoms of recovery. Not everybody gets it. It would be therapeutic for him, Johnny. You're absolutely right.
That's a great
and it would be therapeutic for the boat. It really would. There's nothing wrong with being angry. I promise you that's a legit emotion. It really is. It's just when you let anger take over, or the idea with every emotion, and we've talked about this before on the boat, right? Unfortunately, we become VCRs and we record things. And those things that we record become a part of us. In a perfect world, right? And I've done this one before, right? You're grabbing it on the way by. It's a live stream. Yep. It goes and it's gone. You process it as it's going by and you're good, right? But that's not what happens. Most of us decide to take that little Betamax tape that we've got and put it away. And then we continue to go back to it, and we continue to go back to it. And it becomes a trigger. And I don't mean a trigger that's going to get you high, but it's going to be a trigger that elicits emotions that you do not have control over. And we want control over every single emotion that we have. Yeah. Cemetery says holding a grudge is bad for you. You are damned right it is.
Yep.
You're damned right it is. It's awful for you. And again, Go ahead, Mark,
Well,
please.
there is, guys, there is such thing as love coming from a place of anger. When you get angry, sometimes it's coming from a place of love. It's just, because you want people to be good, you want people to be better, and we're trying to help. And even when we're angry, we're just following through, and we're trying to do what we say we do, and that's be a family. And I promise you, you got Tommy. I'm looking at Tommy, and Johnny's in the chat here. I guarantee you, those guys have went fisticuff. Guaranteed. So do you see it? Do they love each other any less? No. And that's what we're talking about here. And you can't come out here and just and if not for Jason, but do it for yourself. Don't hold that in. Let it go. I ain't telling you not to be angry, because that's something that actually kind of fades off, in my opinion. It doesn't you can't just snap your fingers and that goes away. Like we said,
right.
We can't control the emotion. We can control how we react to it. And it's amazing that we've been talking about this for like 2 weeks now. And, and this situation kind of happens, and we have to put this into practice.
Correct. And it is ironic. It really is ironic.
And that's what we're really trying to do. So
Tommy Bird, listen to this. Tommy says, yeah, I'm big on forgiveness. Oh, you know what? I hate computers. Hold on one second, people. Somebody wants to
I can read it.
Read it for me, would you please?
Yep. It says, yeah, I am big on forgiveness, but at the same time, this is Jason's show that he'll probably play back 100 times a month, but he needs help, the kind we may not be able to offer him. He's forgiven, though. And that's yeah.
Yeah, that is huge. And I'll tell you something. When I spoke to him, I said to him, the kind of help you need may not, I literally said that. The kind of help that you need to seek out may be bigger than the lifeboat can offer. However, none of those types of help are worth anything until you can get sober. Seriously, try going into and seeing a psychiatrist while you're wasted. Try doing anything while you're using. And we've talked about this before. Removing drugs and alcohol from your system is not the magic bullet. It's base camp. It gives you an opportunity to then work on the things that are really going on in your life. And I'll tell you, Tommy Bird, Tommy, you are not the same cat that you were when you first got on the lifeboat. And I'm not saying that you weren't a great dude, but I was having a conversation with someone today, and we were talking about you. And you really have just, I don't know, the level of caring and the level of wisdom and some of the things that you write, I really feel like I'm watching you grow, and it's really just a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's very, very cool. Tommy says, I've done similar things, but definitely not the same to my family. So there's that. Perhaps he really looks at us as family. We're doing something right here. You know what? Here's the thing. We are doing something right. We really are. And people, I would love to say, this is probably not going to be the last time that something like this happens.
Yeah.
It's not. You understand that the disease, right? The disease that we're fighting causes people to do some really bizarre things. I have seen, this is not even the craziest thing that I've seen an addict do, not by a long stretch. It's just, it really is out in the open, again, thank God that my life is not on video, because some of the things that I've done while under the influence, if they could be highlighted for the world, all of you would leave.
Yeah,
if you could look at my past, there wouldn't be one person on the lifeboat. I promise you, because a lot of the things that I have done in my past are almost unforgivable. But you're an amazing crew. Rip Curl says,
yeah, read that.
I was angry at my brother for just reasons for 15 plus years. And in the end time passed, things faded. And all that happened was I missed out on 15 good years. I think I've told this story on the air before, but one of my dad's closest friends didn't go to my brother's graduation. He picked a different family to go to that graduation. And he and my father didn't speak for, 8 years. And then I got a message from him that said, Can you tell your dad I have terminal lung cancer and I'd really like to see him? And the two of them hung out 2 or 3 days a week for the remainder of the time that he was alive. And when they got together the first time, my dad said, "What a stupid thing for us to not have, spent time over." My dad, and he said, "Hey, shut up. We don't have enough time to waste." And Rick, that's a great comment. It really is. That's an absolutely great comment. And I'm really glad that you said it.
I think a lot of us, when these things happen, we're kind of programmed, even as kids, you watch what's going on around you, and we immediately want to put blame on something or somebody. That blame isn't helping you fix the problem.
No question.
It's just not. The blame doesn't even need to be there. We got to recognize where the problem's at and say, hey, you got this issue, But at a certain time, and, guys, and I'm going to say this too, sometimes this takes a while for, and I know Seventh's struggling with this. I can see it, okay? And that's all good. People got to work through this on their own way. And, we're just here to kind of tell everybody, listen, it's okay. However you're dealing with this is how you deal with it. And we just don't want you turning back and going back to the bad stuff. And that's our main concern. And something else, the fact that Seventh is getting mad like that is telling you how much he cares about Jason.
Right?
It really does. It speaks volumes for how much people care, because you don't get that mad over something you don't care about.
I think it's also a real indicator of the fact that this really is family, because if it wasn't, and you had that kind of feeling, you'd never say it out loud. You'd be afraid you were going to be judged for it, especially when other people seem to be going in the opposite direction. I think it's healthy. Jesse Brown said something that's really interesting, and I think probably pretty damn astute. Jesse said, addiction makes you want to know how much others care about you, because in the addiction, it feels like nobody cares, even when they do. That may be a little bit of insight into the kind of thought process that could cause something like this. I'm not smart enough. Honestly, I'm not smart enough to know whether or not that is the case. But I think it's a pretty, I think it's a pretty good, yeah, I think it's a pretty good hypothesis. I think there's something to that. As you start to come out of it, especially you stumble onto a channel, and I'm not giving them a pass, people, so don't, but you stumble onto a channel where everybody really seems to care about one another, and you think, the problem I have is that we were able to demonstrate that a few times in the past. And I think it gets to a point where people start to get addicted to that kind of thing. M. Hunt says, I really, really wanted alcohol tonight, but I chose not to, and I'm honestly proud I did. You know how proud I am of you, and how everybody here on the boat is? Man, if you start feeling like you're gonna, brother, reach out to me. I got an email from you earlier, and I responded, but reach out, please. Tommy Bird says, man, I love this boat, and also I truly love feeling the love that's here. Very cool.
Good night, Johnny.
Yep, good night, brother.
Yeah, guys, and
addiction is filling a God-shaped hole. I have heard that many times before.
Yeah.
Brandon Taylor says, M. Hunt, I am so happy for you. Brandon Taylor also said earlier, and I wanted to comment on it, but things, we're having a pretty good night and stuff is going by pretty quick. It's he said he's really glad that the boat was here tonight, because he's he's been struggling. So, well, we're glad you're here, man. We really are.
And I want to say something too, guys. When that went down yesterday, I immediately told Tommy that I wanted to kill the show, and he stepped in and stopped it. Thank God. That's where my head was. So you can thank him for that, because that was the right thing to do. That's something that I guess we kind of work good together in that way, because there's times that I've done that on like a technical end of things we were having going on. But I think that was the right thing to do. I really do, especially after it all shook out the way that it did. But I really do think that you guys can feel however you need to feel, and you just work through that. I don't think there's a right and a wrong way to feel on this, Tommy. I really don't.
No, I agree with you 100%. And I'll tell you something else. Hey, Leisure, I'm glad that you're here, man. Um,
Prayers for you,
really
man.
glad that you're here. Thank God. You're in our thoughts and prayers, man. You really are. So very, very happy that you're here. Uh, yeah, I'm certainly not going to get upset at somebody because they're feeling a particular way, one way or the other about this, right? Because let's be really honest. If you're the one who comes out right now and and you say, "Boy, I'm really, really angry," right? And so we're going to let something that someone else did, which let's be honest, on a scale of 1 to 10 is probably about a 9.3 on the really messed up scale.
Yep.
And then we're going to take it out on a crew member that's upset by it. That doesn't make any sense at all. I assure you, nobody is going to be judged for how this makes them feel. Like Tommy Bird says, all emotions are legit. It's just how we react to those emotions that matter. I am of the firm belief, right? And we used to joke about this quite a bit in the first season, that there has never been a shrink in history that said, what you really need to do is bottle this up, not talk about it, right? Just hold it inside because things will get a lot better if you do,
Yeah.
right? It's so we talked about this today. How do you do a show like this after a show like last night? What do you do? Where do you go? And I think that this was the ideal, honestly, and it's all you guys. Like we started the show and you people sort of took over, which happens very often here on the Lifeboat. We're very cool with that. But I think that what needed to happen is that everybody needed to be able to work through this.
Yeah.
What I don't want is for people to start bottling this up. I don't want, if you're angry, go ahead, be angry, but let's process through it so that, so that we can then move on, because I think that that's very, very important.
Yep.
YT, I don't know that I've ever said hello to YT.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think that's the first time I've seen that account here. So
Yeah.
welcome.
So yeah, welcome to the Lifeboat. Always nice to see new people on the boat.
Yep.
But yeah, there's not a
all right.
right or a wrong way to to react to to any situation. Truthfully, the only wrong way is if you let whatever emotion is going on start to jeopardize the things in your life. I am truthfully heartbroken that somebody relapsed last night based on this. That being said, when I wanted to relapse, I was going to find an excuse to do it. And I think that there's a really good chance that it was one of those situations. And by the way, I said that to the person who emailed me. I said, I really feel like, maybe you were looking for something, a justification for a relapse. And, I'm not mad at him, but, let's be really honest. Well, sorry, 1 second, people. Okay. My emotions used to be like the glass under the faucet that drips once. It was full every drip that went and ran out the side. Now they're in check mostly. Good for you, man. And I really have seen a tremendous amount of growth in you, bud. And it's exciting stuff. It really is. Rip Curl says, just remember, no matter how bad things seem to be, in the end, they can't take away your birthday and the things that are truly important in life.
Yep.
Seventh says, I need some time to get over this betrayal. I'm not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And take all the time you need. There's nobody here telling you that, hey, the time limit, you got an hour and 45 minutes. By then you need to have this wrapped up. If it takes you a year, bud, you work through it, and get over it in your time. You're the only person who can say, what that time is. And I promise you, we're not going to judge you for any of that time.
See you later, Chi-Chi. Have a good night. Oh, prayers for you. Wow.
Ladybug says, what about the people who wanted to do what he said he did because it didn't seem like such a bad idea? You make a really great point, and that is also something that occurred to me, and it's something that I believe I texted out as well. This is a group of people who struggle. I got an email last night from somebody who it was a beautiful email, but it said in there, I've thought about this many times. Well, I don't want people who have thought about this many times to start thinking about it again, because this is not the way out. Cemetery 76 says, call me. I don't know who you're saying that to, my brother. If you're saying it to me, I'll have to figure out a way to get a number, because I don't know that I currently have one. If I do, I don't know that I do. But try to email me again, right? It's Captain Tommy Scoville at gmail.com, please. Because I'm not getting it. I promise you I'm not. Ladybug, it's a great point. It really is.
Oh. Hey, good job, Brandon T. Says he's a month without pornography.
Awesome, right?
Yeah, heck yeah, man.
That is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things that we don't often think about, guys. Stuff like that. The world don't really see that as an addiction, and they really should. Because it is. It can destroy people's lives. And I think a lot of people are waking up to that now. But
well, and here's the thing. I mean, not only can it destroy lives, but we've talked about this before, right? The buzz isn't really what makes the addiction. What makes the addiction is the reward center of your brain going, this is important. Here, have some feel-good chemicals. And it just starts shaking them into the brain, right?
Yeah.
Well, pornography can do that just as fast as anything else can. So can food.
Yep.
And, I think one of the only blessings of being the captain of this boat, and the fact that my drug of choice is heroin, right? Because when you say heroin, people usually go, right?
Yeah.
Well, as a heroin addict, I'm here to tell you that food can be just as addicting, right? Cigarettes can be just as addicting. The people that think, well, that drug's really hard to beat, versus this one. I don't care what you're on. If the malfunctioning reward center of the brain is doing to you from porn what it did to me from heroin, the only difference was the sickness part. And I'll be honest with you, that part you get over in about 5 days, right? Yep. And then whatever it is, we're struggling the same way. We have a malfunctioning reward center that doesn't want to do what it's supposed to do when it's supposed to do it. And that leaves us in the exact same boat. Hence the whole lifeboat thing.
Yep. Anytime you do something in life that you feel like you have to do, and it starts interfering with things that you need to do, that's an addiction. Typically, it could be anything, guys. I mean, and there's different levels of addiction. I'm not trying to downplay or upplay anything here, but it is the truth. I told the story about my father-in-law and coffee.
Yeah.
He didn't quite understand how come, how come I couldn't just kick it, right? And I said, well,
just stop doing it.
Well, he wasn't quite like that blunt, but yeah, I mean, he just didn't understand. So I asked him, I said, well, quit drinking coffee for 3 days. We're all addicted to something. And that's what he did. He ended up getting a headache, and I'll come back to me and said, hey, I understand what you're saying now. I get it. So, and that was cool of him to do that, because he didn't have to,
Right. Yeah, amen.
He could have done that and then not said a word to me. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
It's
exactly. That's big time.
Yeah, it is. He's a good dude.
Tommy Bird says, I have been struggling a lot lately with my diabetes and my recovery, but the boat helps, as well as my counseling and things. I'm glad I have the support, although I always hate affecting others. Dude, you have affected me positively more in the last 2 or 3 weeks than I could explain. So many times people, please listen up. This is so damned important. So many times people think, well, I don't want to say this because, it might affect other people, or it might bum other people out. So often one of you says one thing, and then I'll get an email that says, when so-and-so brought up this, it made me realize, you have to understand that we really all are in the same boat. So if you think you're affecting people, 9 out of 10 times, there's somebody that you're affecting in a very positive way, even if the things you're saying aren't positive. I promise you, 7th is struggling, right? But his honesty is helping other individuals who are struggling. I guarantee it. Your message and your comment doesn't have to be the most positive thing in the world in order to have a very positive effect. The only comments that we really dislike, right, are things that are downright mean. If you're just a mean person, you're going to get the boot. But if you're working through things, there's no such thing. I got an email from someone last night, and at the end of it, this person said, "I'm really, really sorry for how long this email was." And, if it's fluff, if you describe your cat for 3 paragraphs, maybe, reading an email that long may not be such a great thing. But every single thing that this person said was poignant. And, I had to respond and say, look, hey, in him we win. He says, I also hold back because I don't want to trigger anyone. Don't do that. You hear me? Don't do that. It's and we hear this all the time. I don't beat on this enough. It is absolutely essential that if you're hurting, don't worry about triggering other people. You realize that what you may trigger someone in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
People have said things that made someone go, you know what? This is it. This is my day. I quit today. I can't tell you the number of emails that we get where someone will say, boy, when so-and-so said this, that was the light went on. I realized I wasn't alone. I realized I wasn't whatever. Now, if what you're saying is, hey, I'm rolling a fatty, that kind of stuff can trigger. But if you say, I'm struggling and here's what I'm struggling with, I don't care if what you're saying is, I'm really hurting for heroin. I really,
Right.
I miss seeing it in the spoon. I miss seeing it in the needle. Look, I'm a heroin addict. Say what you got to say.
Right.
The nature of this is we're here to work through one another's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's a trigger for you may not be for me, and then vice versa.
Correct.
It's like we've shown here, like Kensington in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It's the largest open air heroin market, not heroin anymore, it's fentanyl, but in the world.
Right.
And you show that to some people, and we always say, hey, trigger warning, because that is a trigger for a lot of people, but that's also a deterrent for some people. So what's a trigger for me may be pushing other people back to the good place. You know what I mean? So it's hard, but we just try. You just got to be respectful, and you got to understand that everybody is going to go through their addiction a little bit different. Our paths are going in the same general direction, but I promise you there's a bunch of S curves, and every once in a while we'll overlap.
Yeah.
We'll overlap, it's going back and forth like a figure eight, and it's just how it works. And
so yeah, please. I mean, if you're struggling and you're holding it in, myself and my bobbleheaded partner and the cat in the basket are all failing at what we're trying to do here.
Yep.
For real. The idea is that you come here and you unload, right? Work through your issues. If you're not working through your issues, then what the heck are we doing here?
Yep.
So no apologies for that. Don't worry about, and if pay attention, okay? Listen up, folks. Is this thing on? All right. If somebody starts talking about something and it's triggering you, right? We'll be here tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Turn us off.
Exactly.
If what a person is saying is triggering you, just go away. Not with all the love in the world. Go away. This is the same thing we teach. If you find yourself in an uncomfortable situation, what's the first thing you're supposed to do?
Yep. Change
get up and get out of the room.
Yep.
Right? So if the room happens to be virtual, you can leave it. I swear to God, we'll be back tomorrow night. Right? Worst case scenario, you might see us in, after the weekend, but we are the virtual weekend, right? The fiscal weekend, our Wednesday and Thursday.
Right.
But if something's triggering you, please feel free to go away and then come back.
Well, you got to look at it like this, guys. It's the same thing as like you go to a family gathering and somebody says something there that's starting to pick at you, right? It's making you want to start thinking about what you used to do and all this other thing. What do? Well, you either go outside for a minute, get some air, or go in the other room for a minute, get some air. That's the same principle, guys. It's the same thing. I mean, even if you left the room for 5 minutes and came back and checked to see if we were still talking about it. I mean, it's stuff like that, because there's just going to be some subjects that we just simply can't get rid of all of those things. And that's something that I think me and Tommy had to learn together. That's one of the biggest reasons why we went to Facebook for a month back in, was it November?
Correct.
We were trying to protect the crew, and we figured out that we can't completely do that. It's impossible here on the internet. So we started attacking it this way, and it's helped you guys and us too. So
no question. Joanna W. First, Space Diesel. I really appreciate that, man. You know what? I think it's a great platform too. You guys make it that way. You really do, and I love it when I hear that.
Yep.
You can block the people in the chat, and it is really quiet in the chat room. Yeah, I mean, look, if it's triggering you, there's a million ways around it. But you know, also, so let me see here real quick, because Joanna, I've been there so many times, right? It's there are some things that you can do, you know, some non-narcotic things that you can do that aren't necessarily going to help considerably with the pain, but you know, when you're out of pain medications, there's some things that happen that are psychosomatic. Do not misunderstand what I'm saying. I know you're in pain, but your brain is going to make that pain worse because it's trying to get you to feed it something that you don't have. There are some things that you can do just on that. It's going to drop the level, and it might drop it 1 or 2 you know, levels from an 8 to a 6, and that can make a really, really big difference. So if you want, after the show, Joe, you can shoot me a DM. I know you've got me on Messenger, and I can tell you some of the things that worked for me when I was going through that, because it's definitely something that, you know, after 30 years of struggling through that, I got a secret or two, you know, that but because of the subject matter, it's probably better if we talk about it one-on-one versus the entire place, because I don't want to, you know, that is something that can trigger people.
yeah, for sure.
Go ahead.
No, I was just, yeah, I mean, all that's a great conversation, actually. That's a good conversation to have. And that's something else you guys will see here, and I know most people have already seen it. When it gets to that point where we think it might trigger somebody, did you see what Tommy just did there? He took it to the background. So it's not that we don't want to talk about it. We want to talk about it with you. There's just certain things that we're not going to just come out and talk just because we respect you guys. And that's what it boils down to. I think for me, you know, I'm not, please don't think I'm being braggadocious on this, but I still have a few triggers, but my triggers are really, really minimal these days. And it's because I've been in recovery for a while, guys. But I also realize that most people that I'm talking to don't have that kind of time under their belt with this kind of thing. And it goes back to trying to learn off of other people's mistakes. And that's why I share my mistakes that I went through with you guys. And I would go back, because this is actually pertinent to what we talked about today. And we spoke about this, I guess, maybe once or twice since that. But with when I shared my bout with suicide, you can ask Tommy. It destroyed me for a week. It really did, and I didn't even realize it was still there.
No, it really did, and it terrified me for about 4 of those days.
Yeah,
because my man just was not right, you know.
Yeah, my kids were even saying stuff to me. What's wrong, Dad? What's wrong, Dad? And it wasn't like I was going that far with it or anything like that. It just brought back all that stuff, right? And I didn't realize it was still there, and I still have to work through some of that in my own head.
Hey, sorry,
yeah,
Sarah. Good to see you. Finish up, but I did.
No, that's all. Really, I was going to end there anyway. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Sarah, it is great to see you. Glad that you're here. Really good to see you. That is awesome.
Hey, there's Charlie.
And of course, Lady Fiona Crispin. Always good to see Lady Fiona.
Well, she's wanting you to eat some more rotten fish, man.
Yeah, I know. That's a year ago today, actually.
That's what she said over in Australia. It is. It's the 16th.
Yes, the 16th. Yep.
Yeah.
I think I might maybe set that off for season 3.
Let's keep moving the goalposts, man.
Right, season 3 or 4.
We're not going to.
I don't have to be in a hurry. I'm not going anywhere.
We'll just put a pin on that and circle back around to it.
That's right. Circle back.
Circle back. Ain't that what that one woman used to say?
Yes. Yes.
In the press conference.
You know something, Jackson? Don't start bringing that stuff up, Jackson. You're better than that. Tommy Bird says, my triggers are lessening as well, and forgiveness comes much easier. It gives me peace of mind. That is really you know what? Anything that gives you peace of mind is a really big deal. The longer that I'm sober, the more I realize that that's my drug of choice.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. Peace of mind is really I mean, it should be the goal, right?
Right. You
The
know,
ability to live like that without dope is what it's all about.
beating the addiction is the goal, but that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is be happy while you're doing it, and that's really what it boils down to. We talked about that yesterday with white knuckle sobriety. So
Correct.
yeah.
Seventh Son just said the smartest thing he said all day, and
Oh
he's been on
God, dude.
fire all day. For real, Seventh has been honest and open and seriously has had insight all day. But this may be the smartest thing he said. We haven't seen Mark eat that.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I got.
And if I'm not mistaken, you've got a can of it, don't you?
No, I don't have a can of it. I can get a can of it. I'm not gonna lie. I can get a can of it, but
I think you need to.
I've had bariatric surgery. That's my excuse. I'm just kidding.
Don't worry about it because it's not going to.
It's not going to stay there anyway, is it?
5 seconds anyway.
Yeah.
I promise you, it's going to come back up so fast you wouldn't have to worry about it.
Man, I've actually smelled that before. We had a guy that would bring it into the lunchroom and eat it, like legit
on purpose.
On purpose. He was Swedish or Finnish. He was a Finnish guy.
He was from Finland. He was stupid.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
and had no taste buds.
That's the same thing with the Vegemite. I had a guy I worked with, as a technician, and he'd bring in a big old jar of Vegemite every day on bread. Spread that sucker like a peanut butter sandwich and eat it. He's like, "Here, try this." And and I tried it because I'd never had it before, and it was like, "Oh my gosh, man!"
They eat this on purpose.
Man, that thing needs a 3 or a 7 day treatment. That's some massive yeast.
Really, really, really foul.
Yeah, it's bad. Anyway, yeah, I know. If I'm offending anybody over there, I apologize.
No, that's all right. It's only Lady Crispin. You got nothing to worry about.
Well, it peanut butter kind of that way for the rest of the world, except for us over here. They don't have peanut. I think it's peanut butter. I don't think they have peanut butter. Like we were like, that's one of the things that we did over here.
We really won the lottery in that whole deal.
Yeah.
Right. We got peanut butter and they got Vegemite. Good Lord. M. Hunt says, "Love you guys. I'm out. Thanks for all the support. Yep. I shall sleep well tonight." M. Hunt, just promise me, brother, if you're ever feeling, froggy, before you jump, please reach out to me, man, because I'm so damn proud of where you are. For real. I can't begin to tell you.
Yep.
Now, the topic has gotten far too Vegemite, and you know what that always means.
Well, we're at top of the hour anyway.
Got to be the top of the hour.
It is.
Yeah, so anytime that happens,
yeah.
She says, "We have peanut butter, silly." I'm not sure. I believe you. What do you think of that? Because if you had peanut butter, you wouldn't eat that foul stuff. Okay.
I think it started over here, is what I'm saying, but yeah.
Yeah, Jesse, good night, my friend. Hey, M. Hunt says, "I just ate peanut butter on a spoon." I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Honestly, all the time. Chunky peanut butter straight off the spoon. I would say that I probably do that 2 or 3 times a day. Leisure, I love you, my brother. Let's please keep Leisure in our prayers, right? He's in the hospital. He's going through it. So let's keep in our prayers.
Chi-Chi's mom, I'm not sure if you've seen that.
I did not.
Chi-Chi's mom, I guess, is having pancreatic surgery tomorrow.
Oh, Lord. I promise you she will be in my prayers as well. If they got Vegemite, they got the short end of the stick with Vegemite on it. Cemetery. All right, people. Yes, at least they waited till the last 5 minutes. That's probably a really good thing. So I also would like you to keep Bubba and his family in your thoughts and prayers. He's a great guy. He was a roommate of mine and just a great human being. And, he was really close with his dad. This is tough on him. So, and one other individual, Jason Moots as well.
Yes.
If you're feeling like you can do that, great. If not, work toward it. Right. As my friend Tommy Bird said, I find that forgiveness is more for me than them. And that'll assist. And you know what? I'm hoping to someday do an interview with him on the air, and I hope that he's sober. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass,
Mark Wages.
A guy that literally, man, on a scale from 1 to 10, no disrespect, but on last season, I probably would have given him a solid 7. But I would say this season he's coming in at about an 11.5. No, I'm not kidding. Mark is hitting it out of the park, and it just makes this so much more fun. I don't even know how to tell you. So that would be Mark Wages. I'm sorry, on the other side of the glass.
Mark Wages.
There you go. And Squirrel is also killing it this season. All right, everybody, cat in the basket. Good night. We love you.